Hello everyone, this is Lola the Samurai. Welcome back to, well, what am I welcoming back to actually? This is a whole new video we're doing, and we're going to make a tier list of the, what's it called? A tier list of the best countries for regions, or we're doing every country actually. We're going to rank every country for a region. Now, I want just to make something clear. This is a template that I'm using. So some countries may be missing, and some countries may be there automatically. So yeah, actually quickly, can I edit this? Let me just check if I can edit this alignment chart. That's not it actually. Hold on, let's go back. I'm thinking if I can edit this. If we can't, then we'll just go with it. Okay, because I'm kind of doing this on the spot and I completely forgot about this. So yeah, that's not the best way to start the video, but let's change this to terrible. All right, so the tier list will go like this. I'm gonna change this to good as well, and this to excellent. So we're gonna have excellent for the best players of this. The best players you can, the best countries you can sign players from. Good for good players you can sign, good countries you can sign players from, but not the best. Meh, which is okay at best. Bad for. Bad, like not the worst, but it's just not, like, I wouldn't recommend signing from here. Or terrible, which you never find anything of value here. So yeah, one more thing I should mention. One of the rules for my categorization is gonna be that for each it's what am I saying, it's for every country that I'm doing, I'm gonna do it based off just nationality, not so much the countries that they're from. So for example, Guinea-Bissau is terrible. They don't produce anything, but they get the Portuguese youth rating in Portugal. So they do get players that actually end up playing for Guinea-Bissau most of the time, but that Portuguese is second nationality. So that's what we're going to do here. And yeah, let's get started. So the first country is Andorra. Now, Andorra used to be in the terrible category. Andorra used to be terrible here. But since FM, I think 20 or 19, they've actually produced okay regions. They always produce at least one world beater every other save. So for that, I'm going to go meh. I had a very good Andorran region by Sassuolo team, which if I still have the picture, I'll put it up on screen. If not, you won't see anything. But yeah, here's Andorra. Now another thing I'm going to do for this is I'm going to put a little bit of an info bar. Because on an older FM, I put all the youth ratings up. So if you want to see the youth rating and the information, the game importance, I'm going to put that up before each country we do. And I'm going to edit the video in that way. So, yeah, that's what we're going to do. Next, now this flag pattern always confuses me. I know all the flags, but whenever there's a similar flag like this, it confuses me. Now, I'm pretty sure this is Kuwait, which... You know what, Kuwait can develop, but it's not the norm. We're gonna put it in bad. It's not great. But I have seen some Kuwait regions spawn at times, so it's not the worst thing in the world. It could be way worse. Now, Afghanistan is the next one. Afghanistan is gonna go to terrible automatically. I don't think I've ever seen a good Afghan region. Sometimes they spawn in Sweden, sometimes they also spawn in England. But usually, like, second nationality Afghans, they're not common in FM. And I'm not sure what the population of Afghanistan is. We'll put it in the video, like I mentioned. And that's one thing we're going to do. And yeah, there's not really much to say. It's Afghanistan, just, you know what? They're not good at football for a reason, and that's why FM don't rate them either. So, alright, next is Antigua and Barbuda. That's going to be in terrible. Not much to say. A Caribbean island nation that really... if they produce players, it's usually they usually end up in the English lower leagues. By the way, I hope nobody takes the offense to this, especially if you're from those countries. But I'm just stating, like, most of it. Like, if you're not high in the FIFA rankings, you're not very good in general. If I'm saying these things, but these are my if I'm saying it about like, if I say a country like Germany is overrated, which, spoiler, I don't think it's overrated. I just keep in mind it's my opinion, but like, I'm not trying to insult anyone's country in this. I'm just saying you're not very good at football. That's about it. Now we have the first relatively decent one coming up, and that's Albania. I'm gonna put Albania in good, but you'll probably see them drop in the rankings later on, because Albania, they produce good talent. They definitely produce better than they did in older FMs, which is very good to see, because they've always been a country that has potential. They're a Balkan country which always has decent footballers, especially in the Yugoslavia area. And they're in NFM, they've gone better. I'm not sure what the old FM ratings were, but in the newer FMs, they definitely produce talent. Maybe not locally, but in Italy, Greece, usually those two places, they produce fantastic talent. So yeah, they can't produce world beaters, so we're gonna put them in good. But I think they're in the lower part of the good area. Armenia, that's in bad. You know, Armenia can produce one or two players every few saves, but it's not the norm. You're not going to expect Armenia to create players, which is kind of disrespectful, because Armenia does have an okay line of players, and there's a lot of Armenians in Uruguay as well, which in Argentina. I know that because I follow mostly South American football in real life, and there's a lot of Armenians that are actually Uruguayan. They're born in Uruguay, but they represent Armenia, like Maro Gevzogen, or Guevgosian. I think that's his name. It's Maro Guevgosian. It's probably not pronounced like that at all, but that's how we pronounce it, because he's Uruguayan, really, with an Armenian surname. So he's an example. And there's obviously Henrik Mkhitaryan, which I think it's a little bit disrespectful that they're not that good. In fact, and not because of that I'm putting it ahead of Kuwait, but I think I see more world-class regions from Armenia than Kuwait. So yeah, I'm going to put them there. Now, Angola, this might surprise a few of you guys. I'm going to put it at the very top of bad. They do produce good players from Portugal, but I don't notice them as much as like they have no more than Mozambique, I think, but I don't notice them as much as Guinea-Bissau. So yeah, I'm gonna put them in bad, but near the very top. They're right between bad and meh. But I think I'm gonna put them a little bit closer to bad. So that's my opinion. Argentina, you know where this is gonna go. Excellent. You know, 2 World Cup winners for a reason. Has spawned 2 of perhaps the best players of all time in Maradona and Messi. Of course, they're going to have a high youth rating. But I will say, I'm noticing a little bit that their youth rating, I'm not sure if this is a fact. I'll maybe check it before the video editing, and I'll put it in the little Argentina description. But our Argentinian region seems to be getting worse per year, which seems kind of accurate, because Argentina is not producing the same talent it used to, which, you know, I think is a little bit of a far-fetched opinion. I think they're producing fine talent, but they're not in general. They're not producing as much as they're not churning out talent like they used to. Like, they're not churning out consistent studs. So I'm gonna say Argentina is still an excellent, but it might not be the highest. In FM14, FM15, I definitely would have had them near the top, but they're not as good as they used to be. I find a lot of the players that I sign from Argentina nowadays are they have relatively low PA, or they're close to the PA already. So that's just what I've noticed. Like, I sign the players and they just don't develop. So yeah, Austria, you know, Austria is good, but I wouldn't say it's excellent. I would say it's near the top of good. Austria is fantastic. They usually the players are not the most expensive either. You know, if you're going to sign from Central Europe, they're going to be expensive no matter what. But I find Austria want to be one of the lesser expensive ones. So I think that they definitely need to be in good. Not much to say. I like Austria, but I can't justify them putting them in excellent. I think they produce one or two world-class regions per 10-year save as well. So a lot. Australia, below Austria, but still very, very good. One thing that really bugs me about Australia, though, is they have a really low CA when you try and sign them on the A-League. But I noticed they end up with a very high PA, and you can often find a few studs per save. One thing I've noticed on FM20, at least, is they always produce players in Dortmund. And I'm not sure if they immediately get German nationality. I think sometimes they get Italian as well. But Australia produces studs per save. It's not always in the A-League. In the A-League, it's going to be hard to find talent. But because Dortmund has something that sees a lot of Australians come churn out there, they're going to produce a few studs per save. And they usually always do. So, yeah, it's a little bit OP. And the youth rating is not even that high. But I think that the Dortmund thing really helps them. I'm going to have to investigate more into that. But, yeah. All right. Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan is bad. You know what? It's near the bottom of bad as well. It's not... I've seen some okay Azerbaijan regions, so they're not the worst thing. But there's almost never a world-class player from there. Which is kind of embarrassing because Azerbaijan in real life is far better than Andorra. And Andorra just produces better regions year by year. You expect... well, I don't want to say Russia should be producing Azerbaijan regions. Maybe Turkey. Because I think Russia has problems with Azerbaijan in real life. I know they definitely hate Armenia, but Armenia doesn't produce good regions either, so it's not really that big a deal. But yeah, next is Bosnia. This one's kind of hard. I'm gonna put it right below Andorra, or I don't know. I think it's a little bit better than Andorra. Yeah, they definitely produce better regions than Andorra, but they're not the greatest. I think they're okay, which I think is a little bit disrespectful because Bosnia has had some very, very good regions in the last few years. Players in the last 15 years, like Pjanic, Checo, and there's another player who played in Germany. I think he played for Hoffenheim. His name doesn't strike me right now. I'll put it in the next section if I remember. But yeah, that's Bosnia right there. Bosnia is an okay one again. Barbados, around the same places as Antigua and Barbuda. Antigua and Barbuda, they're basically the same. They get they can get spawned in England, but they're usually never very good. So, yeah, enough of that. It's not much to say. Bangladesh, this is a funny story with this one. Bangladesh is one of the worst ones. Actually, I think I'll put I don't know why I'm putting Afghanistan above Antigua and Barbuda. But Bangladesh is as bad as Afghanistan. But I'm going to rank it a little bit higher because I actually have seen them qualify to a World Cup once in like 2044 or something. So, yeah, I gotta no, it's actually 2042 it would be, I think. 2042 or 2046, something like that. But, yeah, Bangladesh and Afghanistan are among the worst. But I think Bangladesh is going to be just a little bit higher just because of that World Cup they qualified to in my save. So that's my only justification. But yeah, there's like nothing of value there. Belgium, top class, above Argentina. The only problem is they're a little bit too expensive, but I'm not taking value into account here unless they're like really cheap and you can sell them on for more. I'm more looking at world class players here, and Belgium produces. They always produce, and that's what they should be doing. Burkina Faso, that one's meh. You know what? I was thinking about this before the video. Where would I put Burkina Faso? Because they produce some good players, but have I really seen a world-class player from there? I'm not sure if I have. So, I'm going to put them in meh. I think they're below Andorra as well. So, and I think at the end of this list, we'll see them very low in meh as well. So, yeah. That's, I will put Burkina Faso around there. Bulgaria has some okay talent, but I'm going to put them around Andorra. I don't see very many world beaters from them. And Andorra has just as many world beaters as Bulgaria, which, again, is ludicrous because you never see a world-class Andorran player in real life. At least not this day and age. So, yep. I forgot my water, so I might get that mid-video and cut that out. Bahrain. I think I'll put it below Azerbaijan. Bahrain is, you know, it's an okay region, central, but it's one of the worst in the Middle East. The Middle East actually has some decent regions that go unnoticed. But yeah, Bahrain, not very good. Burundi, terrible, but they're at the very top of the pack because very rarely, if all the moons align, they get a player in Belgium that has also part Burundian, sometimes in England as well. So, Burundi near the top of terrible because 99% of the time you're not going to find any value. That odd 1% is gonna be really good, but that's like a very rare chance. The only reason I'm putting them in terrible is because like the other 99% are just like no value is found at all. But yeah, that's the only reason I'm not putting them in bad, because I think bad is a little bit too much of a price for them. Usually they're terrible, and you don't even see a world-class Burundi in every save. So, yeah, I can't justify them putting any higher. Benin. Now, Benin is another hard one. I think I'm going to put them right below Angola. Like, I can see some good Benin players, or Beninian. Is that how you say Beninian? Beninese? I don't know. But, I think Benin is definitely a worthy one and bad. Sometimes the German clubs will produce them, but more often than not, they're just not good. So, yeah. But they're not quite as bad as Burundi. Now, Brunei. That's below Antigua and Barbuda. That's not, I wouldn't say it's even close to Bangladesh. I think they're better in Bangladesh, but yeah, they're not good. Brunei, another, I've seen one Bruneian region, world class region, in all my time playing FM, and that wasn't even on one of my saves. It was a save that a friend showed to me, which for all we know, he could have very well edited the youth rating, which, not saying I don't believe him, but we never know. He could have. So, yeah. Bolivia. Bolivia is meh, and it's definitely the best of the meh so far. Maybe below Bosnia. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it below Bosnia. Bolivia's weird because in real life they produce okay players for South American standards. Usually never good enough to compete, but in FM I always see at least one world class Bolivian region per save. So they're definitely a little bit more overpowered on this one than in real life, but. Bolivia, I think that definitely would do warrant the mat. They're like just the middle of the pack. Like, if we're going back to the Burundi example, see 70% of the time they're pretty bad, not terrible, just bad, and the other 30% are okay to quite good, and sometimes even excellent, on a somewhat rare occasion. So, yeah, Bolivia. I think this is a justifiable place to put it. Next is Brazil. Again, you know what it's going to be. Brazil is near the top. Actually, I think I might put it above Belgium. I wasn't sure on this one, but Brazilian regions are a little bit cheaper. They usually have release clause. And they're almost all... There's so many world-class Brazilian regions. You can find one on almost any team in the Brasileirão. And, yeah. Brazil, I think still has the highest youth rating. I think the problem with them, and I'll explain this in the next video, is I think the facilities aren't the best, but the youth rating is so high that it almost doesn't matter. Like, they're just superb to grab players from. And yeah, if you find a player at Flamengo, Fluminense, who could do the job, gotta go for him. Like, sometimes they're crazy expensive, but if you find a release clause, they're usually pretty low. It's usually like 22 million is the highest for the release clause, so I think it's a very good place to look. Bahamas. I don't have much experience with Bahamas, actually. I think I'm going to put them in terrible. Actually, I think below Antigua and Barbuda, because I don't think they get generated in England either. So I'm going to have to put Bahamas there. Next is Bhutan. Around Bangladesh and Afghanistan. I think Bhutan's actually the worst so far. Bhutan in real life is one of the worst teams in the world, if not the worst. But yeah, Bhutan is definitely the worst here so far. Botswana, I think it's just a little bit better in Bhutan, actually. Well, no, they're a lot better in Bhutan. They can produce better players, but because Bhutan sometimes don't even register in the game, even if you load their database. Botswana at least does register, even if you don't load it. So you can find a few Botswana regions if you really do some digging. So yeah, I think Botswana is one of the worst. I think the worst than Bangladesh and Afghanistan, to be honest. But they're definitely better in Bhutan, definitely. Now Belarus, this one's gonna create a little bit of controversy. I'm gonna put it at the very top of bad. And I have seen some friends who have seen some very good Belarusian regions, but my experience is I've never had, in my 7 years playing football, 6 years playing Football Manager. I've started in FM14. Belarus has just never generated anything good for me. I don't think the best Belarusian player I've seen in FM that was a wonder kid was Savitsky, and he's not even a region. So that was back on FM15, FM16, around that time. So yeah, that's kind of an unpopular one, but Belarus just doesn't cut it for me. They really don't. Belize is near Bhutan and Botswana. They speak English, but again they don't. I think they're worse than Botswana because very rarely do I see a Belizean region. They're kind of similar to Bhutan, but when I do see one, they're at least better in the Bhutanese regions. The few times I see both, anyways, which is kind of weird. They speak English, so I would kind of expect them to. I guess there's not many immigrants to go to the UK from Belize as there are from the Caribbean, so that's just my guess. And yeah. Canada. I live in Canada. I'm going to put them in meh. Which is a bit disappointing because when I started playing FM, they produced some studs. They were like Australia. And you can get them for quite cheap. But they've been nerfed heavily, which is weird because Canada 6 years ago, they were about Estonia's level. They were just a shambles. Now they're actually pretty good. Like they're competitive. Like they're not great teams yet, but they're competitive. They have two really good players like Alphonso Davis and Jonathan David, and a serviceable squad in general. But they're capable of going hand to hand with the best CONCACAF teams. But they're on FM. They just feel like they've been nerfed. They just don't generate as good as quality as you'd expect them to. So yeah, I have to put Canada below meh. The lowest on meh so far. So yeah, Democratic Republic of the Congo. I'm gonna put them good because they do produce good players, but I'm gonna put them at the very bottom of good because I don't think they're much better than meh. I have a Democratic player or a Congolese player, DR Congolese player. I'll just say that because there's two Congos. I have a Congolese player from on my Noah Florida save, which is the one I'm doing right now. I'm in Serie C in Italy. That's a story for another time. But DR Congo is a country I signed a player from, and yeah, I think that he's actually pretty good. He's a center back. And yeah, but I'm in Serie C, so I can't say much about that. In general, I do see some Congolese regions. I think they're good, but again, I don't think they can justify being any higher than that. The very bottom of good. Central African Republic. I was thinking about putting this in terrible, but honestly, they do have some regions. Sometimes they get the French youth rating as well. Not very often, but sometimes they do. So I'm gonna put them in bad. I think the regions generated in Central African Republic itself are god awful. They're beyond terrible. And I've managed twice in Africa doing youth onlys, so I think I would know that. But yeah, but just because they get the French youth rating, they can be okay. So yeah, Republic of the Congo, which is the other Congo, the one that has a actually both Congos have a coastline, but Democratic Republic of the Congo has a very small one. Congo. Yeah, Congo are a lot worse than Democratic Republic, or Republic, anyways, is worse than it. So I can't put it any higher than meh. Actually, I might even put them below Canada. Actually, I think Canada definitely gets better regions than them. So yeah, that's where they're gonna go. Switzerland, I'm gonna put it near Austria. They're very very close to Austria, but again, I can't justify putting them in excellent. They're not quite at that level. So yeah. Now, this is where it gets tricky. I believe this is Ivory Coast. I think the Ireland flag has the green on the left. So I'm going to say Ivory Coast. Good. Definitely good. Now, one thing I found on the newer football managers is that Africa just doesn't produce as much as they used to. But Ivory Coast is the one exception there. And talking about Africa inside the African continent, not so much in Europe. Because in Europe, they still produce a lot of studs. So Ivory Coast is Asic Mimosas is still kind of alive. They're not as OP as they used to be, but they still produce good players, and not just in Ivory Coast, in France as well. So I definitely can't put them in good, but I feel like they have been nerfed a little bit. If this was any earlier, I would have put them in excellent because you can get excellent value of players in Ivory Coast from any club if you load the database. But I can't put them any higher than good anymore. They've been just a little bit nerfed. Chile. Now, you might be shocked at this. Chile is going excellent. Chile have at least a few studs every single save in these newer FMs. They're not the easiest to come by, but there's always one really world-class player, like top 5, pretty much every time I play FM. And yeah, as you can tell, this is a bit of a generalized video, but I am putting a little bit of facts into it with the youth rating and whatnot. The ranking itself is a little bit generalized, but yeah, I'm trying to make it a little bit fact-based as well, so apologies for that. Most of it's my opinion anyways. Chile is, they always produce at least a few studs per save. Not always in the same generation, because I've played till like 20, on this FM I played till like 2060 at the most, I think. And Chile always produces a few studs per generation, so 2 or 3, which is really what they're supposed to produce. If you do some digging, you'll find them, and you'll love them for a long time. So yeah, that's I think Chile definitely does warrant to be an excellent, and they're usually not that expensive either. They're more expensive than other South American teams on the West Coast, but generally they're you can get them for under 5 million, so they're pretty good. Cameroon, I'm gonna be a shock here. Cameroon is one of the most done dirty teams in this FM. They're around Belarus, which kind of makes sense. They're not really producing much in real life. Ato Bubakar, well, no, I won't even say. Like, the last team that won the African Cup of Nations, they didn't deserve to win that. They were awful. I think Egypt should have won that African Cup. And Cameroon, you know what? Even with the decline their national team has had in the last few years, I still think they produce better talent than what they do on FM. On FM, they just nothing goes for it. Like not even in France. Like sometimes you got a few good French Cameroonian, but I almost never see studs anymore, which is a shame. They're literally right behind Belarus, I think. It might even be ahead actually. I'm not sure. We'll decide that later. China, near the top of good. China used to be pretty average on the older FMs, but they've improved a lot. The only problem I find with China, and you know what, I'm not just, this is a kind of an odd one, because China, my best region I've ever had in FM is Chinese, last year in FM, but he wasn't actually Chinese. Like, he was eligible for China, but it said he didn't have a Chinese passport, which I think makes sense. I'm pretty sure China, you can only have one passport, so if you want to be Chinese, you have to give up your passport, or if you want another nationality, you have to give up your Chinese passport. I think it works like that. Might be wrong. You can correct me if you're Chinese, but I'm including those players as well. If I would put them in excellent, but I think just a little bit below that, because the domestic players they produce, if they're really good, you're almost never gonna get them because they demand just way too much money. I had a player I was trying to get on my Citadella save not too long ago, and they just demanded way too much money. Like I had like 15 million, and I was offering a bunch of clauses. Like for 50 goals, you could have like 30 million, and I was trying to cheese it. He was a defender, but they just said no. They just kept rejecting, and then the press said that apparently we're supposed to bid 200 million. I'm like, where am I gonna get that money from, dude? So yeah, China goes in good. I think just barely below excellent, but I think yeah, that's how I'm gonna put it. Colombia, around China. I don't see as many Colombian studs as I used to on older FMs, but I still think they're very good, and they're usually bargains. They're not that expensive. But I think in terms of producing studs, I just don't see as many as I used to. So I can't put Colombia in excellent anymore like I was in the older FMs. All right, Costa Rica. I think they're good, but I think they're around Australia and Ivory Coast. I think that's actually a spot-on comparison because they do produce good players. Even in, well, no, Costa Rica is basically the only place they're going to produce players. But they do produce good players, but usually just one stud at a time per generation, and not much more than that. So I think I'm going to put them right in the middle between Australia and Ivory Coast. So yeah. Next is Cuba. Terrible. Actually, I'm going to put them above Botswana. No, actually, you know what? I don't see many Cuban regions, but the few ones I have seen, I think they're a little bit better than Bangladesh and Afghanistan. So, yeah, Cuba above them. Cabo Verde, or in English, Cape Verde. I always say Cabo Verde because that's the right way to say it. Meh. I'm going to put them around Andorra. Below Andorra, because Andorra, I've seen more studs in Andorra than Cabo Verde, but Cabo Verde has what's it called? They have very good Portuguese region spawn from Portugal, and you know what? The ones spawned in Cabo Verde aren't that bad themselves. Like, they're not great, but they're good for. They could be good for a lower league team if you can sign on non-EUs. I think they can be good. They're not the worst thing in the world. So yeah, but mostly I'm putting it this high because of the ones you can sign in Portugal. So yeah. Cyprus, that's a meh. That goes in between Canada and Congo. I have signed a few good players from Cyprus before, but you don't expect it. But the players you can sign from there, they're not horrible. You don't see very many great players from Cyprus, but honestly, they are not horrible. They're far from that. So I can't put them any higher, but I can't put them in bad either because they're definitely not bad. Czech Republic. This one's a little bit tough. I think I'm gonna put them the same category as Chile. They're excellent. I've had so many amazing regions from Czech Republic. They're a little bit overrated on this, but they are never that expensive. Usually the highest they go is 20 million. That's what I find anyways. And yeah, Czech Republic is great. Very, very, very good. Alright. Germany. This is excellent. Obviously you knew that, but do I put them above Brazil? I think I will, because you know what? They're not cheap, they're expensive, but I think the players you get in Germany, despite the youth rating in Brazil being higher, I think the players in Germany you get are just way too good. Like, you can get, they produce teams full of studs. Brazil does as well, but Germany has better facilities, so I think that they produce just a little bit better talent than Brazil. That's what I find. So Germany's the best so far. Now, Djibouti, terrible. I think around Afghanistan, Bangladesh, they're that bad. But yeah, not much to say about Djibouti. Denmark, I'm gonna put them in good. Around good, the Colombia tier. They can produce a few studs, but usually I just see like well balanced teams. I don't see many world class players. So Denmark's gonna be the one there. Dominica is going in... actually, no, I'm going to put them in bad, because I have seen some good Dominican regions, but not many. Not very many. They're definitely in the Central African Republic tier. They're not terrible. I will give them that. They're not terrible. I would expect a country like Dominica to be absolutely horrible, but they could be way worse. They really can. Now, Dominican Republic. They're around the same tier. I think they're around Benin, because they have some players spawned in Europe, in Germany, and Spain. But in general, they're not the worst. Especially even the local players, they're bad, but they're not the worst thing in the world. So I think they're sort of in the bad spot. Algeria, not the talent they used to produce, but because of the talent they produce in France, I think I'm gonna put them around Ivory Coast. Below them though, because they don't produce as good as domestic talent. So I think Ivory Coast is just a little bit better than Algeria for that reason alone. Ecuador. You know what? Ecuador used to produce really good regions on FM, and sometimes they still do. And they usually always bargains. But they're not much better in Bosnia, unfortunately. I feel like they've been nerfed a little bit, which is a bit weird, because Ecuador is going through a domestic boom at the moment in real life, where they're just churning out so many players, and their clubs are doing so well in the Libertadores and Sudamericana. So... yeah, I gotta keep Ecuador meh, which is I believe the worst South American. No, Bolivia has been the worst. So yeah. Now Estonia. Estonia is bad. Sorry if I'm kind of cracking up a little bit. I should have gotten my water for this. Estonia is quite bad, but I put them ahead of... actually, no, you know what? Because I never see any stats from Estonia, or even good players for top flight clubs in Europe. They're not terrible, because their players really aren't terrible, but I can't justify putting them ahead of Central African Republic or Dominica, where I have seen at least one good player for a top flight club. So yeah, I can't do that. Egypt, around Algeria, same deal as Ivory Coast and Algeria, except I feel like they've been nerfed a little bit, because they just don't produce as much as they used to, but they still have a few studs. If you load the database, you won't be disappointed with Egypt, and they're not that expensive either. So yeah. Western Sahara, we're going to put at the very bottom, because Western Sahara is not part of the game, so there's no point really discussing them. They're a bit of a dud here, so yeah, Western Sahara at the bottom. Eritrea, around Bhutan, actually, no, that's not true. They're near Djibouti, which is, you know, they're near them, they're pretty close in real life. They're not exactly neighbors, but they're pretty close. I always put Eritrea near Bhutan. I was like, I never see any Eritrean regions, but that's not true. I do see a few of them, but usually they're all terrible. So, yeah, not much else you need to know about that. Spain, amazing, but below Brazil in my opinion. I think they're a little bit too expensive, and they're not quite as good as Germany. So I think they're below Brazil just because of the money factor, the value factor. They're a little bit harder to get. But the good thing about Spain is every club in Spain has to have a release clause. The only difference is the release clause are higher usually than the ones in Brazil. You can either get really lucky with a low release clause, or you can get really unlucky with a very high one. So it's a bit of a coin flip. Ethiopia, I don't see very many Ethiopian regions, but from what I have managed in Africa, in my African saves, they're just bad. They're not terrible. They're better than the ones below them. So I gotta keep them there. Finland is in meh. I think I'll put them below Andorra actually because I don't see any Finnish regions ever. Well, no, that's not true. I do see Finnish regions, but usually below par, and I don't see any Finnish studs. That's what I wanted to say. I don't see any Finnish studs like I do in Andorra. So yeah. Now Fiji. You know what? I was debating putting it in bad, but they gotta be in terrible. They're just as bad as the Bahamas. I do check Fiji often actually as well to see if I produce someone good. They never do. There's never another Roy Krishna. So yeah, Fiji's got to go in terrible. Micronesia. I think Micronesia is part of the FM actually. Yeah, they are. I've seen one good player from Micronesia in my whole time playing FM. So I'm going to put them ahead. That value itself is ahead of Bangladesh, which is pretty damn funny because Micronesia in the Olympic qualifying like 6 years ago, they lost every game like 30-0 to other oceanic sides. So yeah, I find that funny, but that player I did find was actually pretty good. So I gotta keep it in. I found it in USL too, which is a bargain of a league if you're managing lower leagues. So yeah, Micronesia above Bangladesh, which is gonna look ludicrous, but I gotta keep them there. France is definitely excellent. In fact, I'm gonna put them above Germany. I think they're the best team we've seen, the best country we've seen so far. They're not as expensive as the Germans. Firstly, they're expensive, but not as expensive as the Germans. And there's like Germany, they always produce world-class talent. The best player in the world, if you're playing FM, best player in the world is probably going to be one of these three nations: French, German, or Brazilian. Usually, it's going to be one of those three. I think usually France is the most likely, though. I think France is the most likely to see a world-class player. Gabon, you know what? Gabon now producing talent doesn't really shock anyone because Aubameyang wasn't born in Gabon. His dad played football, but he wasn't born in Gabon, and he's actually French. So it comes to no surprise that we see no Gabonese regions, not even in France. They're about Ethiopia's level. So yeah. Now the next one's tricky. We have UK. I couldn't get a template that has England, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, and Wales. So I'm going to try and balance it out. UK is excellent, but I'm going to put them at the very bottom of excellent because firstly, Scottish regions are great. UK regions are, or English regions are fantastic. But Welsh regions are very good as well. Northern Ireland is kind of the black sheep in that. But the reason I'm putting UK at the bottom is one, they're crazy expensive and they're not even worth scouting if you don't have a lot of money. Two, they're non-EU now because of Brexit, and if you're managing in Italy and France, that becomes a big problem. And honestly, realistically, you're only going to sign English regions if you're in other parts of Europe. They usually, if you can sign a lower league English region in Argentina, they usually won't join. They won't want to. So yeah, I think I think UK has to go below Czech Republic just because of that. They produce amazing players, but they're just so hard to get your hands on. They're very, very difficult. Like, it's only really, even if you're a British club, it's either produce your own players or you won't get them. So yeah, I had to put them near the bottom of excellent, but I can't put them in good because they're definitely much better than that. Even Scotland and Wales, they're very good. So yeah, I gotta keep them there. Grenada, terrible. I think around the same line as Barbados and Antigua Barbuda. Grenada is the same. They produce players in England, but they don't really go on to do anything. Georgia, I think Georgia's around Belarus. Actually, they sometimes produce players. I have seen a few good Georgian regions though, unlike Belarusians, but they're not amazing. Oh, something on my eye. Sorry. They're not always amazing. So yeah. Now next is Ghana. Ghana is one of the ones who've been done most dirty in the last few years. They're mad. They're around Canada. Actually, I would have them above Burkina Faso because they do produce players in what's his face? They do produce players in England, in Germany, and sometimes they turn out to be quite good. So I definitely gotta put them there. I don't think they're worse than Burkina Faso. So yeah, Ghana. Actually, thinking about it, they're better than Finland as well. So yeah, I won't have them above Andorra and Cape Verde though. Cape Verde. Gambia is around Ghana. I have seen a few studs. Oh wait, I put them in good. I have seen a few studs from the Gambia, but usually it's so unbalanced. Like something you either see really bad regions or you see one stud per save, and yeah, it's kind of hard to see a good the Gambian. Is it the Gambian region or just Gambian region? Not entirely sure, but yeah, I think that the Gambia. I've said the Gambia a lot in the last few seconds, but yeah, I think they deserve in the middle. They're met. They can get a few good players. That's about it. Now, I don't remember if this is Guinea or Mali. They have very similar flags, but both of them are around the same. Guinea is around Canada and Burkina Faso, and I will put Mali around the same place. So, yeah, they. I think Mali does produce a little bit better than Guinea. Actually, I think this is the Mali flag right here. Equatorial Guinea, that's bad. That's around Gabon, but I don't think... Yeah, they're so close to terrible, but sometimes Spain produces a few Equatorial Guinean regions that can be decent, so... But I never see any studs, ever. Greece, Greece is the very bottom of good. They produce... Actually, no, they're a little bit better. They're like Albania. They're better than Albania. Yeah. I want to do better in Egypt, Algeria, or Ivory Coast, but they're better in Albania for sure. Next is Guatemala. Guatemala's bad. They're one of the worst Central American countries. They're better in Belize, better in Nicaragua. That's about it. So I'm feeling a little rushed, by the way. I'm running out of words to say for these countries without repeating myself. Guinea-Bissau. Guinea-Bissau is better than Ivory Coast. Will they be the best yeah, I think they're the best African nation we've seen so far. And that's because of Portugal. Portugal just produces so many Guinea-Bissau regions, and they give you a safe. Actually, no, I'll put them below Algeria because just because they're at home they produce nothing, but in Portugal they produce so many good players and they're so prevalent as well. So yeah, I think Guinea-Bissau has to be there. Guyana's bad. I do see some Guyana regions, but they're usually generated somewhere else. So yeah, not much to say about that. Honduras. Oh, I have no idea what happened to my mouse. Okay, I did not mean to put them in terrible. Honduras is gonna go near Bosnia and Bolivia. Not quite as good as Costa Rica. They're cheaper though. They're cheaper than Costa Rica, and you can get some really good value off them. If you find a really good Honduran player and develop him, you make a fortune. So yeah, I think around Bolivia because they don't produce as much as Costa Rica or Ecuador, and I think they produce as much as Bolivia for sure. Next is Croatia. Croatia's nothing more than excellent. I think they're the best second-tier nation we've seen so far. Gotta put them above Chile, below Argentina, and they usually they've become more expensive on recent FMs, especially Dinamo Zagreb. Dinamo Zagreb is such a good club to raid from, but I don't think they're the best anymore. So yeah. Haiti isn't bad, but they're at the very top. They're near Belarus because they do get the French youth rating. So sometimes I do see some very good Haitian regions, but more often than not, they're not good. So, yep, enough of that. Hungary, that's in good. I think that's near Colombia and Austria. I put them below Switzerland, actually. And they're very cheap. They're very, very cheap. They're usually never expensive. They're one of the cheaper European regions. But I can't justify putting them above Austria and Switzerland, who are a little bit more expensive. I just feel the regions there are a little bit weaker and a little bit less prevalent. So I gotta put Hungary below that, above Australia though. So yeah. Now there are two flags here. I'm gonna assume this is Monaco because this is alphabetical order. Actually, that would be Monaco second, wouldn't it? Whatever. The second flag we see. Actually, let me check quickly. Where's Monaco? Okay, they look the same. This is gonna be Monaco. I'm not gonna talk about Indonesia yet. Monaco is gonna go at the bottom because they don't have a team. Well, they have a team, but it's a club team, and the players don't qualify as being Monacoian. Is that how you say it? Monegasque? I don't know, but Yeah, Monaco is not doesn't count because they're not a FIFA member anyways. So, yeah. Ireland. Ireland is meh. I think they're around Bosnia and Ecuador. I think they produce good players, but the problem is that most of them spawn in English clubs. Like the best ones, definitely the best ones spawn in English clubs. So you're probably not gonna get them if they're like if they're super good at a young age. So I can't put them any higher than that. Israel. Now Israel's an interesting one. I think they're around Bosnia and Ecuador and Ireland. But honestly, one of the thing about Israel is I managed Kiryat Shimona once. And I only managed it for like 2 seasons because I didn't enjoy the save that much, and I wasn't doing too well. And I had my youth intake, and I had the best 15-year-old region I've ever seen at Kiryat Shimona come from my club. It was madness. I don't have the picture anymore, but he had like 14s and everything. It was the best region I've ever seen come from my club. Now, one of the problems that happened, first of all, the game crashed and corrupted. So, 2 days after that, too, I didn't save. The game had to reload, and I lost the region, and I got somebody way worse. It was a few FMs ago. It was before the region update in FM20 with the whole development center thing. And second thing is, I wouldn't have lost it anyways, but that region, he was good. He would have convinced me to keep playing the save because he could have carried me or could have sold him for so much money. So, yeah, Israel does get a little bit of a boost because of that. But in general, I think they do produce okay regions. They don't have the worst youth rating. Their youth rating is average. I think it's 80-something off the top of my head. I don't remember, but yeah, they're okay. They're okay. India's bad. But the funny thing about India is they actually have a very close youth rating to Israel. I think the club just don't have the facilities. They should be better than they are, though. One, because of population, although you don't see very many good Indian players in real life. And I think there should be more because of the Indian population in the UK or the world in general. I guess the family just don't approve of it. That's my guess, anyways. But anyways, yeah, India's a quite high youth rating. But they just don't produce anything, so I can't justify putting them any higher. Actually, I think I'll put them below Cameroon as well because I think putting them above Cameroon is just too much of a prize for them. So yeah, actually even worse, I'm gonna put them in the Dominican Republic. So yeah, Iraq is in meh. Sometimes they can't produce players. If you load Iraq, you will get good value off them. But they're not going to produce any world beaters unless they're formed in Europe, which is kind of a rare occasion. I think you see them in Sweden and Germany a lot, but that's about it. Iran is good. They're near Colombia. Actually, I think they're a little bit better in Denmark as well. They're cheap, and they always produce one stud per save. I'd say every 2 generations there's always a stud. So, Iran, fantastic. I think they're a little bit too good for what they're worth, actually. I think they definitely deserve a high ranking, though. Iceland's going to go near the bottom of good. And hear me out on this. Iceland, they have fantastic players in their own home country. Like, way better than you expect. At least on this FM. And you can sign up for less than 1 million. Any of them. Because the clubs just aren't rich over there on Iceland. But the problem with Iceland is they take a lot of development, and if you can't develop, then you're not going to get much use out of them. Some of them do spawn their studs anyways, but I think that Iceland, I think there's better. I think the ones I listed there are better. I think maybe a little bit better in Albania. They're around the same. Like, they can produce studs, but I think that Iceland is definitely the a little bit cheap. They're a little bit cheaper, so they're better in Albania. Because Albania doesn't really produce players at home. Iceland do, at least on one of my experience, anyways. So yeah, like, you're not gonna find a great Albania region at Skanderbro, but you might find one at Lazio, for example. So yeah. Speaking of Lazio, there's Italy. Italy's world class. I put them a little bit above Argentina, because even though they're producing not much in real life, they are producing. They produce great players in FM still. So I don't think I can put them anywhere higher than that because they don't produce as well as they used to. But I think they produce better in Argentina for sure. So yeah, Italy is gonna go there. Jamaica. This is kind of hard. I think around Ireland and Israel is where they go. You know, they get a lot of English youth regions, but I find they usually don't get any better than championship level or lower Premier League level. So I don't think I can put them any higher than that. But yeah, Jamaica's another one. And now this is Jordan, I think. If this is Jordan, I'm gonna put it in meh. They're a little bit worse than Iraq, but there are occasionally good Jordan regions. I gotta get my charger. 1 second. I gotta. Alright, I'm back. So I think we left off at Jordan. I'll find out when I edit the video. Getting it myself. There's Japan next. I think around Costa Rica. And actually, yeah, around Australia, Costa Rica. Australia and Japan are the same. Japan generates a lot of great world-class players in Germany. So, yeah, Japan around the same. And their local players aren't too bad either. Actually, I think Japan above Australia, just because of that. You know, the Japanese loaded is not... The Japanese league is not licensed. So, I can't go any further than that. But they do... If you load the database... Where did I leave my water? Oh, I left it back there. I'll get it in a second. The Japanese database, if it's not loaded, or if it is loaded, you won't see any of the real players there, but you will see regions start popping up. So from Japanese clubs like Sanfrecce Hiroshima or Urawa Red Diamonds. So yeah, you will see them, and they're actually pretty good. They're better than the A-League players. Kenya, they're around the same place as Ethiopia. Enough said there. Kyrgyzstan, terrible, not much to say. Cambodia, one of the worst of them. Even though I had a save in Cambodia and enjoyed it, yeah, the regions are not good. Like I won the league with my first year promoted with Cambodia, and I walked it. Like they're not good. Kiribati is the worst of them all. I think Kiribati literally has the lowest youth rating, and you never see any Kiribati regions ever. So they're around the same level as Bhutan. Comoros, same with Comoros, but I think they're around Djibouti because sometimes they do spawn players. St. Kitts and Nevis around Barbados and Grenada. North Korea is bad, but I think they're a little bit better than these African nations because I have seen them produce players and they're okay-ish, but nothing special. Now, how much do we have left? We have quite a bit left actually. South Korea, around Japan, but below them, because actually I'll put them below Australia as well, because they don't have the European influence that Japan has, and South Korea is a bit better in that regard, or a little bit worse in that regard. Sorry, I can't really think. It's 1 a.m. in the morning, and I'm not thinking well. Kosovo around Bosnia. Kosovo are they are pretty good, but they don't really generate in Kosovo. If they generate in Kosovo, they're god awful. But they generate all around Europe, and they're actually pretty good. I think they're better than the likes of Andorra. Andorra, when they produce at home, they're really bad as well. But I think they produce a little bit better, or more occasions you'll find a good Kosovan region. So I gotta keep them there. I'm not sure what this flag is. I don't remember what it is. Like I said, this flag combination gets me. If it's Kuwait, then it's gonna be in bad. But honestly, it's not Jordan. What is it? No, this is Sudan. Okay, I gotta rate Sudan then. Sudan's in meh. A little bit better than Jordan because I've seen decent Sudan regions. In Kuwait's in bad. Kuwait's around here near Bahrain. So I gotta fix that. That was the flag that was really getting to me. Kazakhstan, they're around Estonia. They don't really do much for themselves. They're around Estonia there. Laos, there is near the bottom, near Cambodia and Bangladesh. I think they're worse than Cambodia actually because I think they have a worse youth rating. Lebanon is in bad, but they're not the worst. They're like Bahrain and Kuwait because I have seen some Lebanese regions that are okay-ish. St. Lucia, you know what? They're bad, but I think they're better than I've seen more St. Lucian regions than the likes of Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, Barbados, and Antigua and Barbuda. So, yeah. Gotta have St. Lucia near Guyana. Liechtenstein. I think they're in meh. Should I put them above Canada? I have seen decent Liechtenstein regions. They're not as good as Andorra. I think I'm going to put them just below Cyprus. Because I think Cyprus does produce a little bit better than Liechtenstein there. Sri Lanka, that's in bad. They're not the worst because they have some players spawn in Europe. I don't remember where. I think it was England, Netherlands, or Germany. I think it was Netherlands, actually. So they do produce some okay talent, but most of the time you won't find many Sri Lankan regions. You just gotta find one with a really, really long name, and that's when you know they're Sri Lankan. So, all due respect, but you Sri Lankans, if I accuse Brazil of having a long name, Sri Lanka is even worse for it. So, yeah. Liberia, country of George Weah, they're around Burundi. They're the same. Lesotho, I'm sporting a Lesotho shirt right now. We all know it's the best. I'm gonna skip it. I'm gonna put it to the top. Really, guys, it's terrible. I love Lesotho. I want to visit them one day. I'm very happy with that save I did, but in reality, they're definitely the worst. They're definitely one of the worst there are. Like, it took me a few years to get one good Lesotho region. So, yeah. Lithuania, that's around Estonia, I think. A little bit better. Actually, I put them above Kazakhstan as well, because I've seen a few good Lithuanian regions, but never anything outstanding. So, I can't put them any better. Now, there is Luxembourg. That's near Bahrain and Lebanon. And Azerbaijan, that's a good European comparison. You know, sometimes they can't produce players, but a comparison to Andorra and Liechtenstein, which are other European minnows, I've never seen a world-class Luxembourgian region. That's how you say it? Whatever. But I've never seen a world-class player from there. I've just seen serviceable talent that can make benches on top-flight teams. But I haven't ever seen an actual, like, really good Luxembourgian player. So, yeah. Latvia's around the same. They're around Estonia and Kazakhstan, but I think they're below Lithuania. A little bit above Estonia. That's about it. Libya. Libya's bad. I think they're below Sri Lanka because they don't generate much in Europe. But I think they're like the regions they generate at home are okay for what they're supposed to be. They're better than the ones that we've seen so far at the bottom for the terrible. They're definitely better than that, but they're not much better than that. They're just not good. Morocco's in good. I think around the Democratic Republic of the Congo is a fair place to put them because a lot of Dutch regions generate. Actually, in real life, most of the Moroccan players are from the Netherlands originally, or not originally, but they're born in the Netherlands. So, yeah, I gotta put Morocco there. Next is Monaco or Indonesia. We decided this is Indonesia. Indonesia goes to meh. Do you think they're terrible? Actually, we're gonna put it here because the Haiti flag makes it look like the Paraguayan or Netherlands flag. So I gotta put it behind Jordan just for that. But really, they're on the same level. They can produce good regions, but never anything outstanding. So I gotta put them there. Definitely think they're better than Belarus though. Moldova, or is it Moldavia? So I've been told it's Moldavia. They're around Azerbaijan. They, just because they speak Romanian doesn't mean they can play well. And I think that's a very accurate reflection in real life. The players are bad, but they're not like San Marino quality. They're not Gibraltar quality. So I'm going to put them in bad there. But I think they're not the worst thing going for us. Montenegro is bad as well, but I'm going to put it at the very top of bad. Like, they're just barely below the meh factor. And I think they're a little bit better in Belarus. So, yeah. I can't justify putting it any higher, though. I think the quality, they don't produce many Stevan Jovic's again. And, yeah, I think that's a good, fair place to put them. Madagascar. This is actually one I don't know much about, but I see a few Malagasy regions spawn in France. They're similar to Central African Republic. I think they're a little bit better than Central African Republic, so I'm going to put them there. Marshall Islands, not even a FIFA member, so we're not going to talk about them. North Macedonia, I think they're better in Congo, and I think they're around Sudan. Actually, no, I'm gonna put them above Canada because I've seen some real Macedonian studs in the past. So yeah, and it is North Macedonia now. For those who aren't up to date, it's no longer the controversial name of the former Yugoslavic Republic of Macedonia. It's a very controversial name, and yeah, it's now North Macedonia. Now this is I believe this is Guinea. I said I would put them near Mali, and I stand by that. Yeah, I think this is Guinea actually. I'm gonna put them below Mali. I think Guinea are a little bit worse. Now this flag, I actually don't know what it is. You think it will be Chinese Taipei or Taiwan? It is not because the flag is there. So I'm gonna put them at the very bottom because I'm not sure what it is. It might be the United Nations. No, it's not the United Nations. The United Nations flag is blue. So yeah, I gotta figure out what this is. I don't know what it is. Mongolia around Bhutan. They're really bad. Mauritania. Where is Mauritania? I think they're around Libya's level. I'm gonna put them above Libya because I think they produce a few better players in Europe, but the players they produce at home are definitely worse than Libya's. So, yeah, Malta. Malta is near Luxembourg. Like they're a minnow in Europe, but they don't produce any good players. They don't produce as much as Andorra and Liechtenstein do in that category of the minnow of Europe, minnows of Europe. Mauritius, that's around Comoros. Maldives, same around here. Malawi, Malawi's around Afghanistan, I think, because they don't produce any players in they don't produce any players there in over there in Europe. That's what I was trying to say. So yeah, Malawi's gonna go there. Mexico, that's a definite world class for Mexico. They're better than No, actually they're better than Chile, but not Croatia. The problem with Croatia, I think, is or the problem with Mexico is they're a little bit more expensive than the Croatians. But I every time I find a stud, I go to Mexico. Mexico just so reliable on FM. Like, you can't always rely on them making good bids, but you can always rely on them having a really good player for under 40 million at the very least. So, yeah. You gotta check Pachuca. Pachuca has so many good players. They have a great academy. And, yeah, I think Mexico definitely deserves to be an excellent. Even though they're not that great in real life, but in this game, they are fantastic. So, yeah. Malaysia. That's in bad. That's around Sri Lanka, but I think they're a little bit worse because they don't produce anyone outside of Malaysia. I think Malaysia definitely has better homegrown players, though. So that's going to be that. Mozambique. That goes to... Actually, I've lost my train of thought there. They're around Jordan and Iraq. Because they produce players in Portugal, but they're not that great anyways. And the players produced at home are not good. So... yeah, Mozambique is going to go there. Namibia, that's terrible. I don't think I've seen a Namibian player be produced in Europe. So I'll put it around Brunei, I think. They sometimes do produce in South Africa, but they're few and far between. And South Africa is kind of like they're good, but you're not always going to get the best regions of South Africa. We'll talk about that later. Niger, that's in bad, but I have seen some good regions from Niger, so I gotta put them decently high. Nigeria, if it was a few FMs ago, this would be an excellent, but now they're around Ghana's level. Where's Ghana? There they are. Which is disappointing because I don't see any good Nigerian regions in Africa anymore. And I don't see them spawn in Europe that much either. And if they do, they're usually not that good. So I gotta put them below Ghana actually. Which is disappointing because Nigeria is like the classic African powerhouse. But they're just not that good on this. So... that's just my humble opinion. It's kind of an unpopular opinion, but I just don't see very many good Nigerian regions. Nicaragua, terrible. Near Belize. They're better in Belize, for sure, but not by much. Netherlands, they're, you already know where this is going to go. I think I'm going to put them below Brazil. I think Brazil does get better regions because of the youth rating. But the Netherlands, very, very close to that. So, yeah. Norway... I'm going to stun people a few of this. I'm going to put them in excellent. Below UK. They're cheaper than the UK players, but they're not quite as good. And but they're especially on this FM, Molde is producing stud after stud after stud. Like they're just a stud factory, and it's amazing. Like this is the best Norway's ever been in the game. I think Haaland and Odegaard for that, I think, and a few other players like Hauge as well. So you can thank them for that. Nepal, I'm gonna put them above Nicaragua because Nepal. I've seen a few Nepali regions spawn in Australia, in the lower leagues of Australia, and they're not the worst thing in the world, but they're not. They're never gonna play in anything lower, higher than, let's say, Serie C, if they got the chance. So yeah, Nepal I gotta put there, but they're not very good otherwise. Curacao is they're bad. They're worse than Haiti. They're around Moldavia, I think. I think that's an accurate place to put them. Now this is where I'm gonna shock a few people. New Zealand is going near India. I thought, yeah, I'm gonna put them below the Dominican Republic because I don't see very many New Zealand regions spawn in England, in other countries. Not even Australia sometimes because of Wellington Phoenix, which is technically New Zealand as well. But yeah, I'm not too impressed with New Zealand here. I've never seen a very good New Zealand region spawn, which is disappointing. You gotta have Wellington Phoenix loaded, and even then, you gotta have all the moons align. So New Zealand disappointing. They can produce some good players sometimes, so they're really done dirty in this game. Oman isn't bad. Not much to say. Panama is one of the most done dirty countries in FM. They're below India. Actually, I put them below Moldavia and Luxembourg. Panama does not produce the crappy quality they do in FM or in real life that they do in FM. Like they produce some okay players, not very good. Some okay players that can't play in like the MLS. But in this game, they just don't produce anything. They produce nothing. I've never seen a good Panamanian region in my life in any FM I've played, and that's disappointing because it feels like they get worse every game, and they just reached the World Cup. So I think that's a little bit unfair on Panama. Now Peru, okay, I'm Peruvian. I'm gonna put these near Iran because they're just like Iran. We produce too good quality in this game, more than we do in real life. But they at least got the technical qualities of the players right, and the physical qualities are not as good. I think they got that right. But yeah, there's some real bargains in Peru, and I think we can put them above Denmark, and even I think we do produce a little bit better in Colombia in this. I've seen more Peruvian studs than a Colombian, which isn't really accurate, but we'll take it. Papua New Guinea, that's terrible. They're better in Kiribati and Bhutan. I think they're around Nicaragua. Philippines, they're in bad. And I'm gonna try and rapid fire the rest of this because this recording is gonna get a little bit long. It is 1 hour and 9 minutes. Pakistan, that is not good. Poland is world class. They're around Norway, in my opinion. Portugal, world class as well. Around Spain, I think just a little bit worse than Spain. They're better in Belgium. Portugal used to be the most insane country to buy players from every single game, but I think they got a little bit nerfed because of that. They were just too OP. Palau's not part of FIFA, so we're going to skip that. Paraguay is accurate, I have to say. They're below Ecuador because Paraguay has always been a hard-working team. They got a Guarani, but they've never really produced top-class players. Chilabert, Roca, Santa Cruz, and Oscar Cardoso, the three come to mind, and they're not even like amongst the best in the world. So I think it's accurate that they don't produce that much talent. Some of the best Paraguayans you can find are found in Argentina. But yeah, that's what I think of Paraguay. They're a little bit worse than Ecuador, which they shouldn't be this bad, I suppose. But I think it's accurate. I don't know what I'm saying. You can tell I'm a little bit tired. Qatar. I think that is near Jordan. Actually, I'll put them below Jordan because they're a little bit more expensive to sign. So yeah, that's enough. Now there's two flags like this. There's one for Romania and one for Chad. I think this is the one for Romania because this one's a little bit brighter. So let's move this up. This is gonna be in very good. I'm gonna put them near Denmark, Colombia. I think they're a little bit better in Colombia because Colombia has the less studs than Romania often gets. So I think I'm gonna put them around there. I think that's a good place to put them. Serbia is world class, and in this game they are just insane. I'm gonna put them below Croatia. Actually, I think they're a little bit better in Croatia because Croatia does demand a little bit more money. So it's Serbia. I think Serbian regions might actually be better than Croatia's. They might not produce as consistently because I feel like just Partisan and Red Star could do it. And but yeah, Serbia very, very good. Now Russia's around Norway. They were fantastic as well, and they don't mug you like they used to in the older FMs. They're actually pretty affordable now. They're fantastic again. They were better in the last FM though. I feel like they were nerfed a little bit on this one, but they're still excellent. Rwanda, I did a save with Rwanda on YouTube. It's a very fun save, and I could give them the Lesotho treatment, but I don't have quite the affinity I have for Rwanda that I do with Lesotho, so I'm gonna have to put them in terrible. I'll give them a decent rank in terrible just because of the place just because of some of the regions I got in Rwanda. But I never got a potential world-class region in Rwanda. In Lesotho, I did get 2. So, yeah, I can't put them any better than this. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is around, it's around Qatar. I think they'll get better regions than Qatar, but I think they, oh, look, the Haiti flag is clashing again. Whatever, we'll just leave it. I think Qatar is a little bit worse than Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia does get better regions, so yeah, but they're just really expensive. If you can get them, good for you because they're pretty hard to get your hands on. Solomon Islands, that's around Papua New Guinea, so we're gonna put them there. Seychelles around the same place. I think this is Sudan actually. We're just gonna put Sudan near it, near that. Yeah, this is actually Sudan. One of these has to be South Sudan. I'm fairly certain. South Sudan has a different flag, doesn't it? I'm gonna look that up really quickly, actually. I'm not entirely sure what South Sudan's flag looks like. Oh, wait, no, I do know what it looks like. I remember. Okay. I think we haven't seen South Sudan yet. Sweden, that's gonna be good, but I feel like they're definitely weaker than Norway. I think I'm gonna put them below Australia because I don't see them having that many good regions compared to Australia. Singapore. That's going to be near the bottom. Definitely better in Cambodia. I'm going to put them near Kyrgyzstan. Yeah, I think there's a good place to put them. Slovenia. Slovenia is good around Austria and Switzerland, Hungary. They don't get as... They're basically the same as Hungary. They get studs. Well, they don't get studs, but they get really good regions. But they're a little bit worse than they're a little bit cheaper than Switzerland and Austria, but they're not quite as good at the same time. So they're the same. And Slovakia is really the same as them actually. Slovakia, they have similar flags and they're basically the same. Sierra Leone, that's around Liberia, because sometimes they do get some regions in Europe, but they're not the greatest. San Marino. Now San Marino is often regarded as the worst team in the world. And while I can write that off as a myth, because they're definitely the worst team in the world, they're one of the worst, but they're not worse than like, some of the Oceanic teams. But in FM, they do seem to produce okay talent. I can't put them above New Zealand or India, but I can't put them above Moldova, in my opinion. I think they're better in Moldova. And yeah, it's kind of embarrassing when San Marino is better in the Europe. But San Marino, they've tried their hardest to make them relevant, and they get regions in Italy as well. So yeah, they're okay. They're okay. They're bad, but they're better than they're okay for the standard that San Marino is supposed to be at. Senegal is bad. It's around New Zealand. I'm very disappointed in Senegal. Generation Foot used to be such a good club to mug players from, but or raid players from, not mug players from. And yeah, Senegal is gonna go there. Somalia, they're bad, but usually the players are formed in Europe, and they're not the worst. I'm gonna put them around St. Lucia. Suriname is gonna go in bad again, around these same place. I think they're below India actually. Sometimes the Netherlands does spawn them. Sometimes Principe is around there. Sorry if I'm rapid firing, but we're running out of time. I've kind of set myself a time limit here. El Salvador is below Indonesia. Syria around Iraq. Where's Iraq? Iraq is there. I think they're a little bit better. I've seen better regions from Syria than Iraq. Swaziland near the bottom. Chad near the bottom. Togo is okay, but I don't think. You know what? I think they're worse than Georgia. Yeah, I think they're worse than Georgia, but they're amazingly better than Cameroon, which it's really sad. Cameroon used to be such a good place to get regions from, but they're not that good anymore. Thailand is in bad. Are they bad? No, they're below El Salvador, I think. Tajikistan is bad. We're gonna put them above Rwanda. East Timor is one of the worst ones there are. Near Mongolia. So Turkmenistan. Tunisia, I think I'm gonna put them at the very top of Mech because I don't see great regions from Tunisia. I think they're the weakest of the North African nations, but I think they're just barely below good. So yeah, Tonga around Papua New Guinea. Turkey, this is a hard one. I don't see great regions from Turkey. I think around Morocco is a good place to put them. Trinidad and Tobago, they're not as good as Jamaica. I think they're below El Salvador and Thailand. Actually, they're better in El Salvador, but they're not better in Indonesia, in my opinion. Because they do get some regions in England, and they do become good. This is Tuvalu, I think. Tuvalu is not part of FIFA. And this is Chinese Taipei. Chinese Taipei is completely opposite to its counterpart China. And it's going to go here. Tanzania. Let's see here. Tanzania, it's going to go here. Ukraine is going to go below China, I think. They're very, very good, but they're not as good as they used to be. They are cheaper, though. They're like Russia. They used to be very expensive, but they've become a little bit cheaper. So that's a very good thing. Uganda, that's in bad. That's near Ethiopia, I think. Yeah, it's around Ethiopia. United States. This one's going to shock a little bit of people. I'm going to put them above Nigeria and Ghana. But that's about it, really. They're not great. They should be way better on this FM. But every time I look through the United States, I'm just underwhelmed. Like, they're good, but they're not as good as what they're churning out in real life. Like, you don't see any Giovanni Reynas anymore. They're just a little bit disappointing, in my opinion. But they're definitely better in Canada, Ghana, and Nigeria. So, yeah. Uruguay's going to be at the very top of good. I think the problem is Uruguay's population is 3 million, and they always produce studs in real life, but they're not. You can't put game importance any higher than the top option, which is already high enough. They produce great players, but I don't see. I see a few studs per generation, but not as good as the ones above them, in my opinion, and they're not very expensive either. So I think they just barely miss out on excellent, I would say. Uzbekistan's okay. Around Jordan, you can get a really cheap player and they can do well. That's about it. Vatican City, obviously not a FIFA member. St. Vincent the Grenadines, near the Bahamas, and no, near Grenada actually. Venezuela is definitely the worst South American country you can sign players from. I'm gonna put them around Bulgaria because that's how they are. Which is weird because Venezuela do produce players in real life and they do usually do well. If they never improve the youth rating, they're not very good on this, which is kind of weird. But I guess the game importance doesn't give it that much. I'll check it later. But yeah, Venezuela is a baseball country in real life. I think that's the fact there. Vietnam is I think they're bad, but they're not the worst thing going for them. Vanuatu's around these oceanic nations. Same with Samoa. I think Samoa's a little bit worse though. Samoa's around here. Yemen's one of the worst ones going for it. And the last decent one we have is South Africa, who I'm going to put in good. I'm going to put them above Costa Rica. Zambia is going to go in, I think, okay, actually. And Zimbabwe is going to go here, near Kazakhstan. And that is all the countries you have. So I'm going to quickly go past them because I'm running out of time. We've been recording for an hour and 20 minutes. I can't record any longer. And yeah, this is the episode. I hope you enjoyed. Sorry if your country I kind of rapid fired it at the end. But I'm running out of time and it is 2 a.m. actually. So I got to go to bed soon. And yeah, thank you for listening. I'll talk to you all guys next time. Cheers.